You know how they say there are two certainties in life, right? Death and taxes. Can't we get rid of one of those? See, 100 years ago, life expectancy was only 45. Can you believe that? And then by the 1950s, it was up to 65, and today it's almost 80. Tomorrow, who knows, right? Healthcare has made huge progress. We've eradicated epidemics that used to kill millions, but life is fragile. People still get sick or pass away for reasons that maybe should be someday curable. What if we could improve diagnosis? Innovate to predict illness instead of just react to it. In this episode, we'll see how machine learning is combating one of the leading causes of blindness and enabling a son with a neurological disease to communicate with his family. AI is changing the way we think about mind and body, life and death, and what we value most, our human experience.
And our runner, senior co-captain, number 8, Tim Shaw!
We've lived with this football dream. I mean, all the way back to 6th grade when his coach said, this kid is going to go a long way. From that point on, Tim was doing push-ups in his bedroom at night. Tim was the first one at practice. Tim took it seriously.
About to do out there. They don't know who they coming to.
For as long as he can remember, Tim Shaw dreamed of 3 letters. NFL. He was a natural from the beginning. As a kid, he was fast and athletic. He grew into 235 pounds of pure muscle. And at 23, he was drafted to the pros. His dream was real. He was playing professional football.
Hello, everyone. I'm with Tim Shaw. You get to start off the season right tonight. What's it feel like?
It's that amazing pregame electricity. The butterflies are there, and I'm ready to hit somebody, so you might want to look out.
Hey, Titans fans. This is Tim Shaw here, linebacker and special teams animal.
He loves what he does. I mean, he says, they pay me to hit people.
I'm here to bring you some truth, a little bit of truth, and so we'll call it T. Shaw's truth, because it's not exactly all the way true, but it's my truth.
It feels like everything has changed. I think the hard part for me is that I'm in this in between where I am still taught, but not everything I say is understandable.
2012, my body started to do things that I hadn't done before. My muscles were twitching. I was stumbling, or I was not making a play I would have always made. I just wasn't the same athlete. I wasn't the same football player that I had always been.
My performance, it slipped so much that the Titans cut me. 6 months after being cut, only a month after my 30th birthday. A doctor finally told me what was wrong. I was in shock.
The 3 letters that had defined Tim's life up to that point were not the 3 letters that the doctor told him that day. ALS.
I called home that night. I couldn't even get the words out. I couldn't get the letters out of my mouth. I mean, this couldn't be me. This couldn't be my story. I mean, I'm too strong. But then things got hard. Slowly but surely, my body started to fight me.
Okay.
ALS, which stands for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It causes the death of neurons controlling voluntary muscles.
He can't even scratch his head.
Better yet?
None of those physical things that were so easy for him before. He has to think about every step he takes.
So Tim's food comes in this little container, and we're going to mix it with water.
I just have a huge sandwich and there's the ramen.
As the disease progresses, muscles weaken. Simple, everyday actions like walking, talking, and eating take tremendous effort.
Beyond frustrating to not be able to express what's going on in my mind. I feel I'm smarter than ever, but I just can't. I can't let it out.
Tim used to call me on the phone in the night, and he had voice recognition, and he would speak to the phone and say, "Call Dad." His phone didn't recognize the word Dad. So he had said to me, "Dad, I've changed your name. I now call you Yo-Yo." So he would say into his phone, "Call Yo-Yo."
Tim has stopped a lot of his communication. He just doesn't talk as much as he used to, and I miss that. I miss it.
What do you think about my red beard?
No opinion.
That means he likes it. He just doesn't want to say it on camera. Now, my favorite was when you had the handlebar.
Language, the ability to communicate with one another. It's something that makes us uniquely human, making communication an impactful application for AI.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
My name is Julie. I'm a product manager here at Google. For the past year or so, I've been working on Project Euphonia. Project Euphonia has two different goals. One is to improve speech recognition for people who have a variety of medical conditions. The second goal is to give people their voice back, which means actually recreating the way they used to sound before they were diagnosed. If you think about communication, it starts with understanding someone and then being understood. And for a lot of people, their voice is like their identity.
In the US alone, roughly 1 in 10 people suffer acquired speech impairments, which can be caused by anything from ALS to strokes to Parkinson's to brain injuries. Solving it is a big challenge, which is why Julie partnered with a big thinker to help.
My name is Dmitry Kanevsky. I do speech recognition and also develop communication application. I lost hearing when I was 1 year old.
Dmitry is a world-class research scientist and inventor. He's worked at IBM, Princeton, and now Google, and holds over 150 patents. Accomplishments aside, communication is very personal to him.
Dmitry has a pretty strong Russian accent, and also he learned English when he was already deaf, so he never heard himself speak English.
Plan to go to Israel.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
Technology can't yet help him hear his own voice. He uses AI-powered live transcribe to help him communicate.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's awesome. So we partnered up with Dmitry to train a recognizer that did a much better job at recognizing his voice. So the model that you're using right now for recognition, what data did you train it on?
On my phone, I use data from my voice.
So, how does speech recognition work? First, the sound of our voice is converted into a waveform, which is really just a picture of the sound. Waveforms are then matched to transcriptions or labels for each word. These maps exist for most words in the English language. This is where machine learning takes over. Using millions of voice samples, a deep learning model is trained to map input sounds to output words. Then, the algorithm uses rules such as grammar and syntax to predict each word in a sentence. This is how AI can tell the difference between there, and there.
The speech recognition model that Google uses works very well for people who have a voice that sounds similar to the examples that were used to train this model. In 90% of cases, it will recognize what you want to say.
Dmitry's not in that 90%. For someone like him, it doesn't work at all. So he created a model based on a sample of 1.
After I trained several models, I noticed that I need to shout in order it understood me well. So I specifically trained phrases where I speak very quiet. After I added this, it started to understand me.
But making a new unique model with unique data for every new and unique person is slow and inefficient. Tim calls his dad Yo-Yo. Others with ALS may call their dads something else. Can we build one machine that recognizes many different people? And how can we do it fast?
So this data doesn't really exist, we have to actually collect it. So we started this partnership with ALS TDI in Boston. They helped us collect voice samples from people who have ALS.
This is for you, T. Shaw.
1, 2, 3!
I hereby accept your ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. When the Ice Bucket Challenge went viral, millions joined the fight and raised over $220 million for ALS research.
There really is a straight line from the Ice Bucket Challenge to the Euphonia project. ALS Therapy Development Institute is an organization that's dedicated to finding treatments and cures for ALS. We are life-focused. How can we use technologies we have to help these people right away? Yeah, they're actually noisier. That's your point. I met Tim a few years ago, shortly after he had been diagnosed.
Very difficult to go public, but it was made very clear to me that the time was right.
He was trying to understand what to expect in his life, but he was also trying to figure out, all right, what part can I play?
All the Ice Bucket Challenges and the awareness have really inspired me also. If we can just step back and say, where can I shine a light or where can I give a hand?
When the Ice Bucket Challenge happened, we had this huge influx of resources, of cash, and that gave us the ability to reach out to people with ALS who are in our programs to share their data with us. That's what got us the big enough data sets to really attract Google.
Fernando didn't initially set out to make speech recognition work better, but in the process of better understanding the disease, he built a huge database of ALS voices, which may help Tim and many others.
You have the same one?
It automatically uploaded it.
What's this episode tonight? Turn on the history light. As I am losing a lot in my life, one thing I stand by, if it's worth doing, I'll do it. Play top hit and sing me a song. I view this decision as an opportunity. If I can impact someone else, then that is enough. And my personal plan is to sort as many places as I can for them. Even if that means I will use my last breath of words.
How many have you done, Tim?
I have done 2066.
2066?
Tim, he wants to find every way that he can help. It's inspiring to see his level of enthusiasm and his willingness to record lots and lots of voice samples.
To turn all this data into real help, Fernando partnered with one of the people who started the Euphonia project, Michael Brenner.
Hey, Fernando.
Hey, how are you doing?
A Google research scientist and Harvard-trained mathematician who's using machine learning to solve scientific Hail Marys like this one.
Tim Shaw has recorded almost 2,000 utterances, and so we decided to apply our technology to see if we could build a recognizer that understood him.
Put that over here.
The goal, right, for Tim is to get it so that it works outside of the things that he recorded. The problem is that we have no idea how big of a set that this will work on. Dimitri had recorded upwards of 15,000 sentences, which is just an incredible amount of data. We couldn't possibly expect anyone else to record so many sentences. So we know that technically we have to be able to do this with much less recordings from a person. So it's not clear it will work.
I go the opposite way.
So that didn't work at all.
Not at all,
He
no.
said, I go the opposite way, and it says,
Where
I
can
know that was. When it doesn't recognize, we then sort of jiggle around the parameters in the speech recognizer, then we give it another sentence. And the idea is that eventually you'll get it to understand.
Then we go to the base.
Yes, got it. That's so cool. Okay, so let's try another one.
If Tim Shaw gets his voice back, he may no longer feel that he is defined or constrained by 3 letters. But that's a big if. While Michael and Team Euphonia work away, let's take a moment and imagine what else is possible in the realm of the senses. Speech, hearing, sight. Can AI predict blindness? Or even prevent it?
என் பேர் சாந்தி. நாங்கள் குடும்பத்தில் 4 பேர் இருக்கோம். எங்கள் வீட்டுக்காரர் பேர் பகீரதன், பிள்ளை பவித்ரா, யோகேஸ்வரன். வாச தொளிப்போம், வீடு வாச தொளிச்சு கூட்டி கோலம் போட்டுட்டு பிள்ளைகளுக்கு காஃபி போடுவோம். 5 மணிக்கு எந்திரிப்பேன்.
Santhi does not have an easy life. It's made more difficult because she has diabetes, which is affecting her vision.
கண்ணு வலி இருந்துச்சு. போய் ஆஸ்பத்திரிக்கு, இங்கே அலங்காநல்லூர் ஆஸ்பத்திரிக்கு அதில் வலி தலை வலி இருந்தது.
If Santhi does not get medical help soon, eventually she may go blind.
Complications of diabetes include heart disease, kidney disease, but one of the really important complications is diabetic retinopathy. And the reason it's so important is that diabetic retinopathy is one of the leading causes of blindness worldwide. This is particularly true in India.
Sir, excuse me, கொஞ்சம் கவனிங்க. நினைச்சீங்கன்னா நீங்க 200ல எடுத்துக்கலாம்.
என்னங்கய்யா, சின்ன பொண்ணா? ஆமாங்க. என்ன தொந்தரவு இருக்கு?
கண் பார்வை வந்து மக்கா இருக்கு.
சுகர் எத்தனை வருஷமா இருக்கு?
சுகர் வந்து 2.5 வருஷமா இருந்துச்சு.
Diabetic retinopathy is a condition which affects people with diabetes. In the early stages, it's symptomless, but that's when it's treatable. So you want to screen them early on before they actually lose vision. நேரா பாருங்க. In the early stages, if a doctor is examining the eye or you take a picture of the back of the eye, you will see lots of those bleeding spots in the retina. சக்கரை எத்தனை வருஷமா இருக்கு? அதோடு சேர்த்து 2 கண்ணிலையும் நரம்பு திரையில ரத்த கசிவு ஆயிருக்கு. Today, the doctors are not enough to do the screening. We have very limited ophthalmologists, so there should be other ways where you can screen the diabetic patients for the diabetic complication.
In the US, there are about 74 eye doctors for every million people. In India, there are only 11. So just keeping up with the sheer number of patients, let alone giving them the attention and care they need, is overwhelming, if not impossible.
We probably see about 2,000 to 2,500 patients every single day.
The interesting thing with diabetic retinopathy is there are ways to screen for it. There are ways to get ahead of the problem. The challenge is that not enough patients undergo screening.
Like Tim Shaw's ALS speech recognizer, this problem is also about data, or lack of it. To prevent more people from experiencing vision loss, Dr. Kim wanted to get ahead of the problem.
So there's a hemorrhage. All these are exudates.
Dr. Kim called up a team at Google. Made up of doctors and engineers, they're exploring ways to use machine learning to solve some of the world's leading healthcare problems.
So we started with, could we train an AI model that can somehow help read these images, that can decrease the number of doctors required to do this task?
So this is the normal view. When you start looking more deeply, then this can be a microaneurysm, right? This one here.
Could be.
The team uses the same kind of machine learning that allows us to organize our photos or tag friends on social media: image recognition. First, models are trained using tagged images of things like cats or dogs. After looking at thousands of examples, the algorithm learns to identify new images without any human help. For the retinopathy project, over 100,000 eye scans were graded by eye doctors who rated each eye scan on a scale from 1 to 5, from healthy to diseased. These images were then used to train a machine learning algorithm. Over time, the AI learned to predict which eyes showed signs of disease.
This is the assistance view, where the model's predictions are actually projected on the original image, and it's picking up the pathologies very nicely.
To get help implementing the technology, Lily's team reached out to Verily, the life sciences unit at Alphabet.
So how was India?
Oh, amazing.
Verily came out of Google X, and we sit at the intersection of technology, life science, and healthcare. And what we try to do is think about big problems that are affecting many patients, and how can we bring the best tools and best technologies to get ahead of the problems.
The technical pieces are so important. The methodology is important. How do you capture the right image, and then how does the algorithm work, and how do you deploy these tools not only here, but in rural conditions?
So if we can speed up this diagnosis process and augment the clinical care, then we can prevent blindness.
There aren't many other bigger problems that affect more patients. Diabetes affects 400 million worldwide, 70 million in India alone, which is why Jessica and Lily's teams began testing AI-enabled eye scanners there, in its most rural areas, like Dr. Kim's Aravind Eye Clinics.
Is the camera on?
Now it's on. Yeah. So once the camera is up, we need to check the network connectivity.
The patient comes in, they get their pictures taken of the back of the eye, one for the left eye, one for the right eye. The images are uploaded to this algorithm. And once the algorithm performs its analysis, it sends the results back to the system, along with a referral recommendation.
It's good. It's up and running.
Yeah.
Because the algorithm works in real time, you can get a real-time answer to a doctor, and that real-time answer comes back to the patient.
Once you have the algorithm, it's like taking your weight measurement. Within a few seconds, the system tells you whether you have retinopathy or not.
In the past, Santhi's condition could have taken months to diagnose, if diagnosed at all.
உள்ளேயே பாருங்கய்யா, கண்ணை சிமிட்ட வேண்டாம், நேரம் மட்டும் உள்ள பாருங்க. சர்க்கரையினால கண்ணோட நரம்புல ஃபுல்லா ரத்த கசிவு இருக்கு. அது போக அந்த நரம்புலயே நீர் கோர்த்து இருக்கு. சரிங்களா? இதுக்கு வந்து மதுரையில போய் ஒரு தடவை பார்க்கணும். பெரிய டாக்டர் பார்த்துட்டு அடுத்து உங்களுக்கு என்ன பண்ணணும்ன்றத, அது போக நீர் கோர்த்து இருக்கவும் செஞ்சிருக்கு. அதனால அங்க போய் உடனே பார்க்கணும். சரிங்களா?
By the time an eye doctor would have been able to see her, Santhi's diabetes might have caused her to go blind. Now, with the help of new technology, it's immediate, and she can take the hour-long bus ride to Dr. Kim's clinic in Madurai for same-day treatment.
உங்க பேர் என்ன?
சாந்தி.
சாந்தி. இப்போ இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த ரத்த கசிவு இருக்கு இல்லையா, இது இங்கே அதே மாதிரி இந்த புள்ளி புள்ளியாக இருக்கு. கண்ணு பார்க்கலாமா?
Now, thousands of patients who may have waited weeks or months to be seen can get the help they need before it's too late.
இது கொஞ்சம் அட்வான்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டேஜுக்கு போயிட்டுருக்கு. இனிமேல் உங்களுக்கு 2 கண்ணிலையுமே லேசர் ட்ரீட்மெண்ட்டுன்னு ஒன்று பண்ண வேண்டி இருக்கும். அந்த லேசர் ட்ரீட்மெண்ட்டு வந்து ஒரு தடவை இல்லை, அது 2-3 தடவை பண்ண வேண்டி இருக்கும்.
தேங்க்யூ சார்.
லேசர் பெருசாக வலிக்காது. ஒரு ஒளிவு மட்டும் வந்து போறாப்புல இருக்கும், பச்சை கலராக இருக்கும். கேட்ராக்டும் கொஞ்சம் இருக்குது.
Retinopathy is when high blood sugar damages the retina. Blood leaks, and the laser treatment basically welds the blood vessels to stop the leakage. Routine eye exams can spot the problem early. In rural or remote areas like here, AI can step in and be that early detection system.
மருந்து எழுதி தருவாங்க, அது வரைக்கும் வாங்கிட்டு போங்க. சரியா? வலி இருக்குங்களா? சரி.
I think one of the most important applications of AI is in places where doctors are scarce. In a way, what AI does is make intelligence cheap. And now imagine what you can do when you make intelligence cheap. People can have access to doctors that they couldn't before. It may not be the impact that catches the most headlines, but in many ways, it will be the most important impact.
இப்போ நேற்று லேசரில் பண்ணதுனால இந்த கண்ணு பார்வை வந்து கொஞ்சம் தெளிவாக இருக்கு. சுகரை குறைச்சிருங்க, சுகர் எவ்வளோக்கு எவ்வளோ குறைக்கிறீங்களோ அவ்வளோக்கு எவ்வளோ கண் பார்வை நல்லா இருக்குன்னு சொன்னாங்க.
AI now is this next generation of tools that we can apply to clinically meaningful problems. So AI really starts to democratize healthcare.
கொஞ்சம் நம்பிக்கை இருக்கு, நான் சரியாயிரும் அப்படின்ற நம்பிக்கை.
The work with diabetic retinopathy is opening our eyes to so much potential. Even within these images, we're starting to see some interesting signals that might tell us about someone's risk factors for heart disease. And from there, you start to think about all of the images that we collect in medicine. Can you use AI or an algorithm to help patients and doctors get ahead of a given diagnosis?
Take cancer as an example of how AI can help save lives, where you can actually take a sample of somebody's blood and look for the minuscule amounts of cancer DNA, of tumor DNA in that blood. And this is a great application for machine learning.
And why stop there? Could AI accomplish what human researchers have not yet been able to?
Figuring out how cells work well enough that you can understand why a tumor grows and how to stop it without hurting the surrounding cells.
And if cancer could be cured, maybe mental health disorders like depression or anxiety.
There are facial and vocal biomarkers of these mental health disorders. People check their phones 15 times an hour. So that's an opportunity to almost do like a well-being checkpoint. You can flag that to the individual, to a loved one, or in some cases, even to a doctor.
If you look at the overall field of medicine, how do you do a great job of diagnosing illness? Having artificial intelligence, the world's greatest diagnostician, helps.
At Google, Julie and the Euphonia team have been working for months trying to find a way for former NFL star Tim Shaw to get his voice back.
When you use text-to-speech synthesizer for Tim, can you use his old voice?
Yes. So Zach's team, the DeepMind team, has built a model that can imitate your voice. For Tim, we were lucky because, Tim has a career of NFL player, so he did multiple radio interviews and TV interviews, so he sent us this footage.
Hey, this is Tim Shaw, special teams animal. We got Christmas coming up, so we need to find out what's happening with these Titans players during the Christmas season. See, if you got to hesitate, that's probably a no.
Tim will be able to type whatever he wants, and the prototype will say it in Tim's voice.
I've always loved attention. I don't know if you guys know that about me, but she's gonna shape it for you.
Interpreting speech is one thing, but recreating the way a real person sounds is an order of magnitude harder.
Playing Tecmo Bowl, eating Christmas cookies and turkey.
Voice imitation is also known as voice synthesis, which is basically speech recognition in reverse. First, machine learning converts text back into waveforms. These waveforms are then used to create sound. This is how Alexa and Google Home are able to talk to us. Now the teams from DeepMind and Google AI are working to create a model to imitate the unique sound of Tim's voice.
Looks like it's computing.
But it worked this morning?
We have to set expectations quite low. I don't know how our model is going to perform. I hope that, Tim will understand and actually see the technology for what it is, which is, a work in progress and a research project.
After 6 months of waiting, Tim Shaw is about to find out. The team working on a speech recognition model is coming to his house for a practice run.
Good girl. Come say hello. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
Come in.
Thanks for having us.
He's met some of you before, hasn't he?
How are you doing, Tim?
Hi, Tim.
Good to see you.
Hello. Hi, I'm Julie. We saw each other on the camera.
It's warmer here than it is in Boston.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Always, yes.
Okay. Lead the way, Tim.
I'm excited to share with Tim and his parents what we've been working on. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if the app is going to behave the way we hope it will behave, but I'm also very excited to learn new things and to hear Tim's feedback. So I brought 2 versions with me. I was supposed to pick, but I decided to just bring both just in case one is better than the other. And just so you know, this one here was trained only using recordings of your voice. And this one here was trained using recordings of your voice and also from other participants from ALS TDI who went through the same exercise of... So, okay, so let's, I was hoping we could give them a try. Are we ready? I got it.
I got it. Yes.
Are you working today? It's wonderful.
Cool. Well, thank you for trying this.
Fabulous.
What I like, it made mistakes and then it corrected itself.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, like, it's like, oh, that's not, and then it went, ding, and it does it right.
These were phrases, part of the 70% that we actually used to train the model, but we also set aside 30% of the phrases. So this might not do as well, but I was hoping that we could try some of these too.
So what we've already done is him using phrases that were used to train
That's right.
the app. Now we're trying to see if it can recognize phrases that weren't part of that.
Yes, that's right. You're right. So let's give it a try.
Do you want me to? Do you have the time to play? What happens afterward?
So on the last one, this one got it and this one didn't. I'll pause it. So.
Love the first one when it says, can you help me take a shower?
That's not at all what he said.
I know, you're gonna be really careful what you ask for. So if when it's interpreting his voice and it makes some errors, is there a way we can go in and correct it?
We want to add the option for you guys to fix the recordings, but as of today, because this is the very first time we actually try this, we don't have it yet. This is still a work in progress. We have a speech recognition model that works for Tim Shaw, which is, one person. And we're really hoping that, this technology can work for many people. There's something else I wanted to try, if that's okay. So we're working with another team at Google called DeepMind. They're specialized in voice imitation and synthesis.
In 2019, Tim wrote a letter to his younger self. They are words written by a 34-year-old man with ALS who has trouble communicating, sent back in time to a 22-year-old on the cusp of NFL greatness.
So let me give this a try. So I just like using this letter because it's just so beautiful. So let me see if this is gonna work.
So I decided to write you this letter because I have so much to tell you. I want to explain to you why it's so difficult for me to speak, the diagnosis, all of it, and what my life is like now, because one day you will be in my shoes, living with the same struggles.
It's his voice that I've forgotten.
I don't even remember that. I don't remember that voice.
We do.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've sounded like that I feel like a new person. It felt like a missing part was put back in place. It's amazing. And I'm just thankful that there are people in the world that will push the envelope to help other people. It was nice of you to come today.
We're so happy to be working with you. It's really an honor.
It's amazing.
The thought that one day that can be linked with this, and when you speak as you are now, it will sound like that is, I mean, that keeps...
Then you'll have to wait for me to talk, and then that.
It's okay. We'll wait. There is a lot of unknown and still a lot of research to be conducted. We're really trying to have a proof of concept first and then expand to not only people who have ALS, but also people who had a stroke, who had a traumatic brain injury, multiple sclerosis, any types of neurologic conditions. Also maybe other languages too, you know, I would really like this to work for French, for example.
Wouldn't it be a wonderful opportunity to bring technology to problems that we're solving in life science and healthcare? And in fact, it's a missed opportunity if we don't think about bringing these best technologies to help people. So this is really just the beginning.
Just the beginning indeed. Imagine the possibilities.
I think an imaginable future for AI in healthcare is that there is no healthcare anymore because nobody needs it. You could actually have an AI that is directly talking to your immune system and is actually preemptively creating the antibodies for the epidemics that are coming your way and will not be stopped. This will not happen tomorrow, but I think it's the long-term goal that we can point towards.
Tim had never heard his own words read out loud before today. Neither had his parents.
Every single day is a struggle for me. I can barely move my arms.
Have fun.
I can't walk on loud, so I recently started using a wheelchair. I have trouble chewing and swallowing. I kill for a good pork chop. Yes, my body is failing, but my mind is not giving up. Find what's most important in your life and live for that. Don't let 3 letters, NFL, define you. The same way I refuse to let 3 letters define me.
One of the things Tim has taught us, and I think it's a lesson for everyone, medically speaking, Tim's life has an end to it. In fact, 5 years ago, we were told he only had 2 to 5 years to live. We're already past that. He has learned very quickly that today is the day that we have. And we can ruin today by thinking about yesterday and how wonderful it used to be. And oh, woe is me, and I wish it was like that. We can also ruin today by looking into the future, and in Tim's case, how horrible this is going to be. Oh my goodness, this is going to happen. I won't be able to do this anymore, and I won't. So if we go either of those directions, it actually spoils us from being present today. That's a lesson for all of us, whether we have an ALS diagnosis or not. Try to see the good and the blessing of every day. You're here with us today. It's going to be a good day.